Greetings and welcome to this week's True Sky Sidereal Astrological Weather Report. Using the current or correct astronomical positions of the etheric bodies and planetary beings in our solar system as they follow the line of the ecliptic through the various star groupings or constellations known as the zodiac, creating alchemical reactions and energetic effects for us on Earth. This is how astrology is meant to function. Tropical or Western astrology is not that. It is a system based on a calendar and a clock designed to encapsulate humanity in a never ending cycle of production and consumption. Essentially, the matrix in a spiritual cloak. So, this is not that. If you're interested in true sky sidereal astrology and making astrology a primary experience by learning what these archetypal energies represent and how they combine to create certain weather for us to create circumstances within, stay tuned. Okay, so highlights of this week are the energies of the sun moving through the Scorpio and Ophiuchus portal. I've spoken to this topic at length in some other videos, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on that in this particular video, but there's that. We're also nearing the end of the lunar cycle, so we have a full moon at the end of the week, and Mercury is going to be going direct, which you can see Mercury is in Ophiuchus as well. Okay, so this is one of the major differences in true sky sidereal astrology. Not only are we taking into consideration the current astronomical placements, but we're also including the 13th zodiac sign, Ophiuchus. It shares the same part of the sky as Scorpio, and together they combine to create death and rebirth energy. So just following the line of the ecliptic, we'll do a little rundown of where everything is at so far. In Sagittarius, right in between Sagittarius and Capricorn here, we can see Pluto and Venus doing their little dance. Pluto, again, is not in Aquarius. It's just barely in Capricorn using the true sky. Next, we have the water bearer Aquarius here. This is where Aquarius is in the line of the ecliptic and the actual sky. Right now, we have Saturn still in Aquarius, and then shortly after that, we have Neptune and the moon fairly close currently as I'm recording this on Monday in the sign of Pisces. So we can see the great big constellation of Pisces, the fish here. Next, we have Aries, the ram, with Uranus just exiting Aries. So a long period of revolution as far as the self is concerned. And then Taurus is next here, quite a big constellation as well. Jupiter still hanging out in Taurus, so an expansion of the physical world is involved with that energy. And then not much going on in Gemini, but we do have Mars in retrograde still in Cancer, the crab, an uncomfortable position, a lot of energy about asserting your needs, making sure your emotions are stable, and potentially emotional conflicts until the end of February. Then we have Leo, which I'm still getting the hang of navigating this on my computer. Leo and Virgo, Libra, and then finally returning to the Sun and Mercury, hanging out in the sweet spot here, right over the galactic center. This is the womb of the universe. The galactic center is a black hole, and Ophiuchus, the 13th zodiac sign, is right over top of that. So we've had some crazy energy surges this week. Looking at the Schumann resonance in some of my other videos, we can see that the time from when the sun moved out of Scorpio and into Ophiuchus, the earth responded with a massive amount of energy. And so this is basically the underpinnings of the forecast this week, is this huge movement and surge of energy, and essentially our emotions, which are energy in motion, being stirred up in order to bring things to our awareness, in order for us to make peace with that and move out of that level of density, unwind that level of the collective karma, and move up the spiral of human involution. Okay, so in transit action this week, the moon, I think, is going to be the biggest player, especially based on the pre-frame or the underlying energies that I've discussed at length in other videos about Scorpio, Ophiuchus, and the Schumann resonance. So if you want more detailed information on that specific alchemical combination of energies, please check out my other videos that I've made on that topic. in an effort to try to make these videos a bit more concise. I don't want to overlap too much. So the moon this week, we're in the last quarter of the moon, so moving towards the moon being full. The moon is the thing that is closest to us as far as the etheric bodies and astrology are concerned, and it is in control of our emotions, essentially. My understanding of the moon, based on fourth way teachings and astrology, is that the moon is just like it pulls the tides and pulls water towards it. It pulls our emotions to the surface for us to be aware of them and aware of the tendrils or the roots of those emotional reactions in order to heal them, right? So when the moon is full, there's all sorts of documented evidence of people being crazy and losing their shit. And this is because they're operating from an external locus of control or the victim perpetrator mindset, and they feel that things are happening to them. But when you're aware of this and you're living life from a more neutral or detached viewpoint, you can see the moon pulling shit to the surface for you as a beautiful gift. So that's where we're at right now. So after coming out of all of this energy, or really just getting into all this energy of the death and rebirth cycle of the sun moving from Scorpio through the galactic center and the black hole, the womb, and being reborn through Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer of hidden wisdom, the ruled by Chiron, the wounded healer. Mercury retrograde just coming to its culmination or ending this week as well. All of this energy of like things being triggered and activated in us for us to become aware of them and then surrender to them and make peace with them to release that density and choose differently, right? So not reacting and reinforcing the duality of victim perpetrator mindset or mentality, but seeing things from a more enhanced and neutral standpoint and being able to release the patterns associated with the creation of those circumstances in order to move up the spiral into a higher rung of our reality so that you're able to experience more than just the physical world. So the moon this week is gearing up to be full at the end of the week, late Saturday, early Sunday, depending on where you're at in the world. And it will be in Taurus, the sign of the physical world. Okay. So right now, currently Monday through Wednesday, it's in Pisces. The moon moves signs every like 2 to 3 days, depending on which sign it's in, because the constellations are different sizes. And it moves the fastest because it's the closest to us, right? So Monday to Wednesday, the moon is in Pisces, which is the 12th house of like deep, dark, spiritual depth, essentially. That is what Pisces is. It is dark night of the soul. It is the tower, right? It's what's hidden underneath, the occult. So that is where the moon and our emotions are right now, in the depths, and just coming off this huge energy surge of this human resonance. I'm definitely feeling that in the moon today as I'm recording this on Monday. Aries is a smaller constellation, so late Wednesday and most of Thursday, the moon will be in Aries, which is the cardinal fire, spicy self-assertion energy. And then Friday through Sunday, late Friday through Sunday, it's going to be in Taurus, because Taurus is another massive constellation. And when the moon is full, it will be in the sign of Taurus and also squaring to Neptune. So what this is going to do is a square with Neptune. Neptune is in Pisces. Neptune rules Pisces rather. So Neptune and Pisces is just amplifying this energy of the mysterious, of the fantasy, of potentially rose-colored glasses and such. So we're going to have that kind of contrast to the full moon that's going to be happening in the very grounding and physical sign of Taurus. So themes around the physical, like being more sensual, being in your body, like having fine foods and like taking care of your environment, taking care of your body. All of these things are kind of associated with Taurus, like creature comforts. So it'll be nice at the end of the week to have that kind of grounding energy from the moon as it's pulling shit out of us, because the current climate is a bit ungrounding. In other transits this week worth noting, later today, Monday through early Wednesday, so mostly Tuesday, we'll be feeling the effects of the sun trining Chiron. So Chiron is currently in Pisces. It does not show up on this astronomical app that I use. I got this information from Mastering the Zodiac's weather forecast and his software, Prometheus, you can use if you want to be even more in tune with the current true sky astrological energies. So the sun is going to be trining Chiron, which is in Pisces. Okay, so the sun trining Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. The sun is all about expression. So this is going to be a climate or like supportive energies as far as healing our self-expression. And then later in the week, we have a bit of oppositional energy between Venus and Mars, mostly on Thursday, again, kind of late Wednesday into early Friday. We're going to have Venus opposing Mars. So when Venus is the feminine, receptive energy, a relational energy, like how you love, and Mars is the self and exerting yourself, exerting yourself also, I guess. So these are opposing forces, and they are the polarity of masculine and feminine. Okay, so the two of them opposing each other in the sky is going to be really highlighting this energy of the balance between the poles. We all have a masculine pole and a feminine pole within us because we're all everything. Everything outside of you is you pushed out. You are the creator of your reality, right? So balancing the combination of masculine and feminine energies within yourself. As a society, we've all been indoctrinated, no matter what your gender or sexuality is, we've all been indoctrinated into the masculine pole of doing, okay? There's three opposing forces in creation. Again, this is a fourth way teaching, laws of creation. In order for anything to come into being, there are three opposing forces. One is the masculine doing, active, outward force. Two is the feminine, receptive, inward force. And the third force is blank space, just nothingness, okay? And where we're at with the sun right now in Ophiuchus, this is the pause. Also, Mercury retrograde continuing this week until it stations direct at the end of the week is also a pause, okay? So creating that space for yourself to pause and go inwards, especially on Thursday, because this oppositional energy between the masculine and feminine is likely to highlight areas within yourself that are imbalanced in this context. And potentially it could show up in your relationships, because that is really what the whole point of our experience here is in these human bodies. We all are one source in a multitude of iterations or different human bodies, so we can have experiences. So the people in your life and the relationships that you have are you in another body trying to show you something or give you a certain type of experience. So if you find any sort of difficulty with relationships, especially around Thursday, I mean, it makes sense too, because the moon is going to be getting close to being full, and this affects everybody, whether they're aware of it or not. So people, especially who are not aware of this, are going to have all their trauma and karmic wounds pushed on as the moon attempts to bring these things to their awareness in order for them to realize that they're creating them. So there's a potential for some spicy kind of energy as far as interpersonal relationships on Thursday. And then finally, as far as notable transits this week, we have the end of Mercury retrograde on Sunday. Mercury is going to be stationing direct. Again, it is in Ophiuchus, so Mercury, the planet of thinking and communication, is in the black hole right now, okay? So it is being reborn. So the way that you're thinking and communicating has had an opportunity to refresh over the last 3 weeks. And as it stations direct and starts to move forward again through Ophiuchus, it is likely that you're going to have a refreshed state or paradigm that you are viewing the world through, and a need to communicate this or just change the way that you're communicating. Okay, so in sum, I think the major thing to focus on this week is the moon and the full moon at the end of the week, again, or either late Saturday or early Sunday, depending on where you are in the world. And really just leaning into the space making and the void that has been created with the sun. The sun is always opposite where the moon is, by the way, when the moon is full, right? So it's opposing. That's how it creates the effect of the moon being full. So yeah, really just leaning into that space and the void and doing less. Like, where can you do less? Where can you make more space? Where can you strengthen your introspective practice? And this means turning your attention inwards, okay? Looking at yourself internally and sitting with that. Understanding that you are the source, you are the creator. Everything that you are experiencing outside of yourself is your creation. Your soul, your higher self, created these experiences based on the belief systems and the behaviors that you've been participating in for, however long you've been in your body, right? So what you're seeing and experiencing is a result of that. You have the ability to change that, but it involves introspection and going inwards and using the astrological weather, these predispositions or certain conditions that are created by these etheric bodies moving through each other, essentially, in order to facilitate the release of your karmic wounds and density. And in order to do this, one, you have to have an internal locus of control looking inwards. And two, you have to see things as neutral. You cannot identify as a victim. You cannot also be a social justice warrior trying to enact justice on others, because all of that is just reinforcing the duality of the victim perpetrator mindset and the othering, when in actuality we're meant to be returning to the source and the Godhead, the creator, on the understanding, or the understanding rather, that you are that and everything outside of you is you. So you don't need to impress anybody and you don't need to take anything personally. What you do need to do if you want to change that is focus internally, right? So all of these energy waves and conditions that are hitting us, layers and layers and layers, are basically providing facilitation for this, like the energetic conditions that help with this. So the full moon this week is a big one in the sense that it really gives us the opportunity to look at this shit, detach from the emotional butthurtness of the victim mentality, and send it to the moon. When the moon is full, look at it and send your energy to it. I promise you, you will feel a difference. Okay, so that's it for this week, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in and receiving this transmission. If you like this sort of content, please give me a like, give me a comment, share it with somebody you think that could benefit from this refreshed paradigm or perspective to view astrology through. Also consider making a donation to help support my cause, and stay tuned for the next one.